The both of you better get your act together, or you're...
Yowie wowie! Hold on, boss. Huskus will get his act together. Trust me. And I know the perfect way to start. Hit it!
You got it, dude.
Welcome to the new episode of the Please Not Another Wrestling podcast by WrestleVision. My name is Dan, and today's guest is Jan. Hello.
What's up?
And we are back after a short break, and every once in a while we coming back and talk about certain topics we like. And you always can tell us in the comments or on Twitter at WrestleVisionYT. How do you like the podcast? Share it around and tell us what you would like to hear us talk about in the future. Today's topic is a little bit of a controversial one, I would say. It's intergender wrestling across all promotions. Which matches have happened in the past? Which controversies did we have in the recent times about that? And which wrestlers and which other people from the creative side or former creative side have been involved in the discussion about and around intergender wrestling. And the most current full intergender wrestling match was the main event of Slammiversary in Impact Wrestling between Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan. And what did you think about that match, Jan?
I was surprised that it was that good. I know both of them are great in singles competition against their respective gender, but I didn't expect it to be this good, to go that long, to be that competitive, to be honest. Maybe the best, in my opinion, the best match of the night on that card. The best match Impact had in a long time. And certainly better than, I don't know, I think any other intergender match besides one, which we will talk about a bit later, I think.
I personally have followed the other intergender matches in Impact Wrestling too, and I have to say that the other members of OVE that Tessa Blanchard faced did, in my personal opinion, did a slightly better job as Sami Callihan. The match at Slammiversary wasn't bad, it was great, but I believe that the other members that Tessa faced of Ohio versus Everything, those matches on TV, they were better. They were faster, more impactful, and maybe not that one-sided. The main event of Slammiversary wasn't one-sided, but there were certain parts of that match that were pretty one-sided. And the other matches on TV
on both sides, I think. So Sami had sided parts, as I had.
Yeah, we could say. But the overall feeling was that the other matches Tessa had were better. But let's stay on the Impact topic, because in the original plans for this feud might have been a little bit different, because
feud is a big
yeah,
in quotation marks here.
Storyline, angle.
It's more match than angle or storyline than anything, but yeah.
And Impact Wrestling had other plans at least we can assume that, because there's another wrestler called Eli Drake who is not with the company anymore, that was in talks to be having a intergender match, but he
Well,
refused that and eventually left the company. And I believe you have more to say on that topic, Jan.
yeah, so it wasn't any talks or rumors. Impact actually announced, later deleted the announcement. So yeah, I think the interview is a few months old now or weeks, I'm not sure. Where Eli Drake was interviewed by Chris Van Vliet on his YouTube channel. One of the first topics was his exit from Impact, and this match played a huge part. So Impact, so Eli Drake's i- contract would have been up May 31st, and he was released on April 7th, I think it was. And this whole situation led to him being released that early, this short time, with this short of time on his contract left. Basically, the situation was Impact announced on Twitter Eli Drake versus Tessa Blanchard for Slammiversary. But here's the catch: Eli Drake didn't know about this. He never agreed to this match, and he contacted Impact about it. They didn't answer him for hours and days. And at next tapings, he still didn't get any answers. Blah blah blah. And then finally it came to talks. He said he felt uncomfortable and all stuff, and that eventually led to his release. And then the other plan was for Joey Ryan to replace him, which also didn't happen. Then Sammy Callahan came in. But yeah, it's the classic situation of, hey, someone who doesn't feel comfortable doing it, which I get. It's a weird thing, especially if you're someone, say, like Eli Drake, who is twice the size of Tessa Blanchard, and yeah, you can make the match competitive, but it looks kind of goofy, and Eli Drake didn't want to do that, which is fine. But yeah,
Yeah.
that-
Well, what you can say, what I've heard from Eli on Twitter, or read, not heard, that he also is not really a fan of the concept of intergender wrestling.
yeah,
But
that's what he said.
yeah,
But his main point for that was that most of the times it isn't really competitive, or it looks, if you have a 260-pound ripped dude versus 20-pound slim woman. He wants wrestling in general or his match to be believable, and he doesn't think that can be achieved with stuff like that. I
well,
mean,
but what speaks against that is that it has been achieved in the past, because wrestling, there are wrestling matches that are comedy matches, there are wrestling matches that are serious, and there are wrestling
yeah,
matches that, yeah, are not really there to be legit or seem legit. And you can even have that across one match card in one night, and people do not care. They attend the shows, and if they had fun, they're gonna come back.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's my point too. But that was his point for not liking intergender wrestling that much. As he said, he has nothing against it, but it's not his cup of tea. For him, he wants wrestling again, that AEW line. That's why I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up there. He wants it to look like a legit sport, to be competitive, and not have, as I said, a 260-pound rib dude and little like a 10 versus a 90-pound woman, who may be strong, but it it looks weird to him. I mean, okay,
Yeah, to him
good.
maybe, but there is an example of of how this can work, or multiple examples actually, because these two faced more than one time, because it's Keith Lee and Mia Yim. Now they are on NXT, but before they started out in NXT, they had, I believe, 2 or 3 intergender matches against each other, and all of them were fantastic. Nobody looked stupid in this match, nobody looked weak, and it were just a combination of great wrestling moves and spots, and the crowd always had fun because it was fast paced, it was powerful, and both sides got their comeuppance, but in the end it was just an art form. It was not a wrestling
Yep.
match in that sense, it was an art form. Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
And of
I
course,
totally agree.
there's Eli Drake, but there's somebody like even further across on the other side, completely against intergender wrestling, and probably everyone can assume who that person might be, and that's
If we
Jim
say he's
Cornette.
from management side,
he
uh,
he is, yeah, he's not a fan for obvious reason if you know him, and I believe everyone that listens to this podcast heard of Jim Cornette and his views on professional wrestling. And yeah, he absolutely despises intergender wrestling. That's not true, as we would say, maybe, but nah,
let's
probably
be
it's true. And
let's be honest. Jim Cornette despises everything that isn't wrestling from the 70s, 60s, or 50s. If you're
it's
maybe
not the
Attitude
Midnight
Era, a
Express.
little bit of it. But Jim Cornette is.
So it's safe to say that he probably believes that intergender wrestling, because it might hurt a little bit of the believability of wrestling, um, that it's destroying and ruining the business. That would probably be the words he has. Probably not that nice. Probably with a lot
I
of
mean,
F words in it, but yeah.
when you said Jim Cornette, there was another part of that Eli interview actually, which I just remember. He talked about his time in, I think it was FCW or it was already NXT. I'm not sure. Um, where so Eli Drake was still in WWE developmental and Cornette was still involved there. Yeah, I think it was FCW. But I'm not sure. No, but Eli Drake did a shooting star press in training very often, and Jim Cornette once said, "Hey, we don't need another Rey Mysterio."
No, why?
Uh, he just
Yeah.
said, "We don't need another Rey Mysterio. That move is stupid." Uh, he's a big dude doing a shooting star. Let him have fun. It wasn't training. He never did it in a match. He never did it on anyone. Let him have fun. Uh,
Yeah, but
oh,
Brock Lesnar also did multiple shooting star presses in his career.
yeah, and also almost broke his freaking neck.
Yeah.
Let's
um,
be honest, Brock Lesnar is the one person with maybe Big Show where I say you have no business doing a shooting star. I'm sorry.
well, and that's probably why he stopped doing it. Um, and of course, that moment that you refer to at WrestleMania against Kurt Angle was brutal. But another thing that was brutal was a certain match of Joey Ryan and Candice LeRae versus the Young Bucks. So I believe you have something to say about that.
Yeah, not much because it's just wow, but it was, I think it was, I don't know, it was, when was it? I don't know which year it was, but it was from PWG, Guerrilla Warfare, and as I said, uh, the Young Bucks versus the world's cutest tag, team, as Chancellor Ray and Ryan were calling themselves. And this, in my opinion, Dan hasn't seen it yet. That's why he said I can talk about it a bit. But in my opinion, the best intergender match ever. Um, typical PWG style, a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of spots, a lot of high flying, a lot of goofiness, which is always included with Joey Ryan, I think. And blood was spilled. I don't really you probably know by who if you saw this match or heard about it, but yeah, uh, as I said, in my opinion, best, best intergender match ever, and the match that really got me interested in this type of wrestling, and where the match where I say, maybe a contest between a man and a woman can be competitive.
Yeah, all you have to do is just to accept both as equal athletes and blend out that they're of a different gender, and then you
Yeah,
can enjoy the match. And there are
yeah,
obviously there are bad matches of this type, but there are also
yep,
bad matches in the men versus men or woman versus woman division. So there can
yeah.
be bad matches, but if done right, and we've named a few examples
If
now,
done,
it can
it
be
has to
great.
be it has to be done right. You have to be extra careful with it because I get the point if, let's say, the man only dominates this match and the woman doesn't do anything really. It can, I don't think domestic abuse really, but people say, hey, it can fuel or look like domestic abuse and whatever. But yeah, this type of match, this type of uh, contest is pretty hard to pull off in a good way.
Absolutely, but we have a lot of professionals in the various promotions around the world, and there are easily a lot of people that can pull off this type of match in a good way.
Yep.
Um, Talking about promotions across the world, there's one top dog sipping on top of that still, and that's of course the WWE. And well, in their recent time, where they're trying to yeah change their format a little bit, and they're also played with the idea of intergender action. And at the most recent pay-per-view, Extreme Rules, they had a few intergender spots. One of which decided the match in the end. It was the End of Days by Baron Corbin against the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. And well, that sent a lot of people who don't watch any other wrestling, just WWE, basically into a frenzy. And I've heard, we talked about it before the show started. You read a few tweets really going against WWE for doing this, and what do you have to say about that?
I mean, if you never seen something like you don't know that this type of wrestling exists, you are shocked at first. I was when I saw the first intergender match and I didn't know that was but going on a rant with multiple tweets and that, hey, maybe chill. It's planned. They're all professionals, as we said before. It wasn't a full intergender match. It was one move. You can tell me whatever you want. Becky was asked if she wants to do this, and the way I know Becky and Seth, they had the idea. Let's be honest. And
Obviously, yeah.
I it was either their idea or someone they know very well. I don't think Baron or Lacey came up with that. Uh, they never come up with good stuff, but um, okay. No, but I think it was they agreed to it. It was one move really, and let's. I don't get why people get so angry about this stuff.
Yeah, it's not like that Becky was dominated throughout the match. Obviously, she's a way better wrestler um, um, in comparison to Lacey Evans, and she's the champion. So, of course, she also had a few spots to lay in before that happened.
I, as I said, I get that people are shocked and holy shit, what just happened. If you do, I was shocked to be honest, but because it's WWE and I expect at this point, hey, women might take a few shots at the men with, we've seen that before with a candlestick or with chairs or whatever. Didn't expect a guy to hit his finisher, especially against a woman. But I'm not mad about it. I don't go on a rant, and if they do that again, I stop watching the product and I will stop supporting them. I will do whatever it takes to stop this. People are crazy. Short and simple, people are crazy.
Yeah,
uh,
because this is not about. It's not like Baron Corbin. Like for example, Lacey Evans took out Seth Rollins outside of the ring, so he was unable to reach the ring, and Baron Corbin just started to beat up Becky, and yeah, for like 20 minutes or so. That's not what happened. It was one spot,
yep.
one move, one moment where Becky didn't pay attention, and Baron Corbin took advantage in order to make, or in that was at least his plan, to make Rollins snap and yeah, obtain the victory and become WWE Universal Champion. But of course, the anger was bigger than his confusion, and Seth beat uh, Corbin decisively with 3 curb stomps. So you can also argue the curb stomp is a controversial move because it goes directly onto the head and is easy to duplicate for people at home. And
Let's be honest, every move besides all those flying moves, for example, that Ricochet does. Sorry. I'm sorry. Um, but every move is easily uh, doable by children and stuff like
well,
that.
if
And
you
let's
you
and
sometimes
let's
you
be
have to.
honest, if children replicate that move at home, that's on the parents and not the WWE, because hey,
Yeah,
don't do this
but
at home. They
I wouldn't
repeat
say
that
that
over and
that
over.
certain moves where you have to lift your opponent are also duplicatable because, of course, mo there are people that do not have that power in their arms.
Yeah,
Um,
but on trampolines, hey,
yeah.
have you seen trampoline wrestling videos where
Yes, yes, I
like
have.
small dudes with 100 pounds lift up their friends who is like 300 plus pounds and give them a choke slam and he nearly lands on the neck? Like, yes, it's a trampoline, but it will still hurt. I broke my arm on a trampoline once because I landed wrong. So yes, things can still happen.
That's
Every
why
move
you
is
shouldn't try this at home. And
yes,
wrestlers are professionals, and when they do spots, especially on national
most of them
television,
are.
it has been talked about, and it has been planned before. It has been agreed about, and it's all
Most of the
just
times.
part of the show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's basically what you can say about intergender wrestling in general. It's just part of the show, and if it's done right, it can be really, really good. And there's no reason in 2019 to outrage about this.
Yep.
Well,
Only thing where I would be like, is that necessary? Might be a situation where, which Eli Drake mentioned, which would be like, okay, drastic example, but be a Candice LeRae versus Big Show. Okay, why are you doing this? Let's be honest. But yeah, no, it is. as Dan said, a viable part of the show. It should happen in major companies, mentioning WWE, and my opinion, major company as well, even though they only had 3 shows, AEW. I think they both should do it
And
on
it's
consistent basis.
and the thing is, it's nothing new. China in the 90s faced
Yep.
multiple
Chi-
men, and nobody
China was
complained.
Intercontinental Champion.
Yes, nobody complained, and well, and she was also
China
female.
didn't look like a woman either. That probably helped in that. And no offense to China, but let's be honest, she was bigger than most of the dudes back then.
Well, but in the end of the day, if you blend out certain body parts and facts, you can just enjoy the match. Or not. We are not forced to watch a match, but you're also not forced to go on the internet online and complain about it. Because you can always turn off and watch something else because there's so much wrestling going on in the entire world right now. You can easily just switch to another promotion. Everyone has a streaming service. A lot of things are also on YouTube, and yeah, you can enjoy the wrestling you like, and that's what WrestleVision is all about. Because we try to cover every aspect of this business.
Yup.
And well, then, if you do not have anything to add, I think it's time to wrap this up.
Uh, Let me look something up real quick. I want to see. Now, you probably wondered why there was a cut. I was searching for a quote. I'm not really relevant to this, a little bit relevant to this whole topic. Kane said that once. Yeah, Kane did that. He said, "There's no drama like wrestling." I think that's a pretty fitting quote to end this whole intergender wrestling topic and people that make drama out of that.
Absolutely. And thank you for listening. Please leave a comment down in the comments below. Like this video, share this video around, follow us on Twitter at WrestleVisionYT. Also, look into the description for the link to our WordPress, where you can to our website, where you can read a bunch of articles. And that's it. Thank you, and have a good day.